Hey guys, welcome back. This week, Chris Harrison starts off strong with the talk with everyone in the house. Then we figure out that being pressured into a relationship isn't exactly promising. We see how that Bachelor budget's been raised this season. We take a deep dive into hypocrisy, thanks Julia, and we see the beginning of the singing competition. And finally, it's official. The villain of the season has been announced, and it's Julia. Oh, how the tables have turned, all in this week's recap. Chris Harrison becomes every attached girl in the world and asks all the couples in the room, where is this going? Nobody in this planet wants to do that in the mere beginning of a relationship, but he makes it happen and everyone starts to crumble. This sparks fire in every couple in the relationship, whether it sparks a lovely fire or it sets them on fire. Either way, it gets things moving. So we have the couples that are stable, ready to go. That's Chris and Bri, Trevor and Jamie, Rudy and Matt, Ryan and Natasha somehow, and then Danny and Becca, who again, we have no idea who they are, but apparently they're stable. Then we get to the people that aren't. Gabe and Ruby leave the show, but then it comes down to Savannah and Brandon and Sheridan and Julia. And boy, is it worth a watch. Chris's ultimatum came shortly after Brandon pulled Julia aside and said, I didn't pick you during the rose ceremony because I knew Sheridan would pick you and we could continue our relationship and seeing where this would go. He is the worst! Julia confronts Savannah about Brandon's interesting way of using a rose ceremony to get two women out of the situation, and obviously Savannah does not take it well. She didn't even know that Brandon had real feelings for Julia. She thought it was just them two and that it was clarified after he picked her during the rose ceremony, but no. Brandon was smart enough, I guess, to find a loophole. Cut to Savannah crying outside. Brandon comes up to her. Savannah's the chillest girl ever, by the way. She's saying, if you would have just told me you still had feelings for Julia and we're still trying to figure it out, I would have understood. And Brandon says, so, what do you want to do? You want to do the show or do you want to go home and cry? And I'm pretty sure Twitter blew up. We have our sweet Sheridan who talks to Julia, and honestly, he's just taking what he can get at this point. He thinks they still have a spark. Julia, from what we can see, does not, and it's pretty sad to watch him go through, and I don't think you should hurt sweet Sheridan anymore. There's plenty of people on Twitter who agree with me. Please check out this one. We will protect Sheridan at all costs. So finally we learn about the singing competition part of this show. It's been this mysterious cloud that's been hanging over all of us, and Chris has finally rained down the answers. Wow, I'm so good at metaphors. Anyways, he gives us the answers. There's going to be celeb judges, Bachelor celeb judges, and they are actually going to decide who makes it to the next round. They are going to decide based on musical ability and connection on stage. So whether they're faking it or they're actually in love, that is what's going to get them to the next round and get them to the grand prize of going in with an amazing producer, recording songs, and then having your own tour provided by Bachelor ABC. So that's a pretty sweet gig. Let the games begin. So we start hearing all of them practicing their music. I'm getting pretty worried for Ryan because I hear Natasha and she's very good at belting. She's a powerhouse kind of voice and his is more mellow. So I just don't want my mans to get overshadowed, that's all. She's great. Natasha's voice is great, I will admit. So they're starting to win me over a little bit. And the date card goes to Danny and Becca. So it's the first time we really get to see these people on our screen, and I wonder why. No, I'm just kidding, I know exactly why, but we'll find that out later in the episode. So Danny and Becca go to this super nice house in Hollywood. There's all these amazing clothes that they get to try on, and I like Danny because he looks at the price tag immediately and he freaks out. So my kind of guy. We're thinking that they're into each other, and then of course, hot tub time. Up until this point, I thought they were a couple because we haven't seen anything, and he kisses her and she like gets grossed out and backs away. In this scenario, you have to be coupled up. You have to show romance on stage. And even if she's not feeling that with Danny, she's gotta fake it. So I feel for her, but also I feel for him because I think he does like her. So that's just a whole issue I didn't even know was out there. How come Julia always seems to be right next to Brandon and Savannah when they're practicing their song? I mean, she's always right there. Basically, her ear could be up to the door and she is irritated. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I get it, girl. Like, Brandon screwed you over. That's fine. But then we hear her say, she is the reason I want to leave. I'm sorry, what? Savannah has done nothing to you. The problem is Brandon. Why do women always do this? We always skip over the boy we like because love is blind, whatever, and then we just blame the girl. And Savannah's done nothing. She's been honest, she's been open. She's saying Savannah is the reason she wants to leave, and that is whenever the flip switched in my brain. Julia, that is not chill. Villain move number 1. She begins to say that Savannah and Brandon are there for the wrong reasons, and they are acting disingenuous, her favorite word of the night. And they're pretending to be into each other just for the show. Meanwhile, she is over there pretending to like Sheridan. I mean, that is hypocrisy at its finest. She is using Sheridan to stay on the show when she likes Brandon, while accusing Savannah for using Brandon to stay on the show. I mean, like, how do you find these? How do you cast these people? We get a little guest feature of Lauren Lane and Chris Lane. Bring it on, Bachelor Nation. Keep them coming. We love some Bachelor alum that actually worked out. Give us hope. Ryan and Natasha get a date card. I'm interested in seeing how this is gonna go. I don't really understand it. I don't know if I like them together or I just want Ryan to stick around, so yeah. So they are actually the ones that are at the Chris Lane concert. They even get to go on stage and sing Big Big Plans with him, which is the song he used to propose to Lauren. It's very cute. It ends with a classic hallway makeout scene between Ryan and Natasha. Feels like a rom-com. You're starting to win me over. Maybe there is hope for Ryan and Natasha after all. Trevor and Jamie are consistently talking about the other couples and their singing and saying that they're not worried, which makes me feel that they are indeed worried. It's competition time! Finally, we get to hear these people sing as couples. This is what I've been waiting for the whole time. Now time to reveal the judges. First up, we have our Bachelor celebs, which is Jordan and Jojo. They're one of my favorite Bachelor couples. Love them. Don't know how they're gonna judge music ability. Neither of them sings, but who even cares? Then we have Jason Mraz, who I have actually never seen a picture of, but he looks exactly what I thought he would have looked like, down to the hat and everything. Anybody else feel that out there? You didn't know what Jason Mraz looked like, but he looks exactly what you thought he would? Yeah, let me know in the comments. Then we have Kesha. And at this point, I'm like, Bachelor has raised their budget, and I am pretty happy about it because Kesha. Up first are Matt and Rudy, and boy, did they blow everyone away. If I had to follow that, I would not follow that. That is the answer to that. They were so amazing. They started off a little nervous, and you could tell that their confidence grew through the performance. Rudy's vocals are off the charts. Matt sounded pretty good as well. I wasn't really paying attention to him, honestly, because Rudy was so good, but it was a great performance. The judges all loved it as well, and then we find out at this point that Jason Mraz is going to be an actual critic. He thinks he's auditioning for an American Idol judge, and he needs to take it down 10 notches. Next up is Bri and Chris. I knew Chris had an amazing voice, but he showed it off. He was so good. Bri was kind of focusing on entertaining the crowd, which honestly, when you're a singer, I get it, but it kind of made their connection come off a little weird. But the judges still could tell that they were in love. Bri even says out loud that she's falling in love with him. So basically, that's their golden ticket on to the next round. Following them is Ryan and Natasha, and it starts off camera on Ryan on the piano. He gives us that smooth tone. Jason Mraz is into it, but then boom, Natasha comes out. She's a powerhouse. Her belting and vocals are so good that Ryan kind of gets overshadowed. Jason Mraz basically roasts Ryan on stage. And when I say basically, I mean he 100% roasted him. But they're both still amazing singers in my opinion. Next, we have Becca and Danny, who are already struggling, and it shows on stage because Danny tries to go in for not one, but 2 kisses, and Becca jukes him out, and the judges notice. So Savannah and Brandon, they were into each other, they were flirting. It wasn't obviously love because I don't know how long have these people known each other, and I think Savannah and Brandon did a great job, but the judges roasted them for their connection, so it's also not looking good for them. After Jamie had obviously been super nervous, she explains to the judges that she had the anxiety, she's been struggling with self-love for a long time, and Kesha gives us some advice that honestly hit the heart. Who knew that I would be watching TV and getting advice from Kesha tonight on Bachelor? Not me. And it was honestly the most real moment that this reality TV show has had. So the rose ceremony goes as expected, other than Chris Harrison calling out names and them having to awkwardly hand each other roses after. Chris and Bri end up together, Trevor and Jamie end up together, Ryan and Natasha, Matt and Rudy, and then it gets down to the mess, which is Savannah, Brandon, and Julia and Sheridan, and Becca and Danny. The reason why we haven't been seeing a lot of them will be coming to light very soon. Julia and Sheridan make it, even though I think that Savannah and Brandon's performance was better. And it's down to Savannah and Brandon and Becca and Danny. And Savannah and Brandon make it through. Becca and Danny get sent home, and now we realize why we never saw them on our screen. I'm so excited to see how the singing competitions go. Hopefully they'll have more amazing celebrity judges like that. I love seeing Bachelor couples that actually made it, like Jojo and Jordan, who also live in Dallas. Shout out if you guys want to come on my show. I would love to have you. No, please. No, seriously, please come on my show. It's like American Idol had a baby with The Bachelor, and we are getting to raise it and watch it grow up together. So I will catch you guys next week for my recap of Listen to Your Heart episode 4.